Warning, some viewers may be too serious to enjoy the following video.
Yo, what's up, dudes? Welcome to the first ever ElToroRyan Q&A video. This is to celebrate 20,000 subscribers, so thank you so much, everyone, for all the subscribers, all the attention. I love it. I love attention. I just want to say thank you guys so much for 20,000 subscribers. It's so crazy. We're actually at 21,000 subscribers now. It blows my mind how much the channel has grown, especially in the past few weeks. You guys are really digging the problematic coaster videos. I've got more of those coming up soon, so stay tuned. But before we get started, though, I do want to say that I hope your family, your loved ones, you're all doing okay during these crazy times. It's crazy what's going on. I hope everyone is safe. I hope you're all healthy. Hope you're doing well. Sucks that we can't do anything right now and that, we can't go to parks and stuff. Parks will be opening around now. We gotta do what we gotta do, get through these tough times, and then eventually the parks will open back up and we'll be able to go back. So stay positive, guys. If you need anything, email me. I will not check my Instagram DMs, so I'd never check those. Trust me, I never check them. So I have the community post up where you guys left all your questions for me, and you guys crushed it. We've got 733 likes and 320 comments. So there's no way I'm gonna get to all your questions, but I'm gonna try my best. So I'm gonna go through chronological order. I'll start from the oldest comments first and then work my way back towards the present. And let's see how this goes. I'm gonna scroll down to the bottom, all the way down. I got these arranged in chronological order already. And we're at the bottom. All right, so let's get started. First thing is not a question, but they are first, so congrats, you are number one. Phoenix asks, the most intriguing wooden coaster you haven't ridden yet. So for those, I would probably say like the giant GCIs in China. It's like Wood Coaster at Night Valley, Python through Bamboo Forest. Those look phenomenal. Hangtime Thrills asks, what is the worst coaster you've ridden? Which did you prefer working at, Cedar Point or Six Flags Great Adventure? And what's your favorite movie or TV show? The worst coaster I've ever ridden is easily Hellcat at Clementon Park. It was so rough. I have a video about it if you guys want to check that out. Between working at Cedar Point and Six Flags Great Adventure, for the time that I spent at either park, I would have to go with Great Adventure just because I worked there for so much longer. Cedar Point was definitely fun with the time I had there, but I only worked there for like 5 days. But it was very fun, and I think if I did work there long term, I would have preferred Cedar Point. Oh, my favorite TV show is Westworld on HBO. Favorite movie? I don't really know. There's a lot of good ones. Sustained Floater Coasters asks, what is your most anticipated Vekoma model outside of the US? Whatever Lech coaster is. So I think that's like the Bermuda Blitz coaster. Whoopee Cushion Productions TV says, thoughts on Six Flags Magic Mountain, and do you intend on visiting Socal at some point in the future? The funny thing is I actually went to Socal right before I started this channel. May of 2017, I went to Socal and I went to Magic Mountain and Knott's Berry Farm. Magic Mountain is my favorite Six Flags park. There's no doubt about that. And I do intend on going back to Socal as soon as this pandemic allows me to. I was gonna try to go later this year, but we'll see what happens. So B-Man the Champ says, if you had the chance to work as a member of the crew for any ride, which one would it be and why? So right now I'm gonna have to go with Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. That ride runs 5 trains and a little track. I think it's bizarre. I have a problematic coaster video coming out for it, and that'll explain a lot. What's your favorite coaster / flat ride of all time? So I'll give you my favorite flat ride. So that's gonna be like, the zippers that you see at like fairs and stuff. Those are great. So David Root says, loving problematic coasters. Thank you for sharing the in-depth knowledge. What do you do when you're not a ride op? I get the sense you haven't done that for several seasons. So I graduated college in May of 2017. So that was really the last time I was a full-time ride op. I was a ride up through all my college years. Since then, I've been working as an engineer, actually. I won't say where, but I do work as an engineer full-time, so. Jake Hunter says, if an enthusiast was visiting America for the first time, what park should they try to make an effort to visit? We have a lot of parks here in America. If you only can visit 1 or 2, I would just say go to like Cedar Point and Kings Island. If not, I would say go to like Socal, go to Six Flags Magic Mountain, Knott's Berry Farm, Disneyland. And if you're in the Northeast, Great Adventure, Knoebels, it's a great one, and Hershey Park. And then obviously if you're going to Florida, you're set. Every park's in Florida. Harold Johnson says, are there any non-coaster YouTubers you follow? So I do follow a lot of YouTubers outside of coasters. Actually, most of the YouTube I do watch is outside of the coaster world. I watch a lot of Tesla videos, a lot of tech videos. I like to watch a lot of skateboard YouTubers too. So like Chris Chan, John Hill, it's a lot of them. Sean Rodriguez, a lot of good YouTube outside the coaster world. Chicago says, are you really getting married? When's the special occasion? So I am getting married, and right now the date is set for August 15th of 2020. So let's hope that happens. He also asks, do you ever plan on visiting Six Flags Great America? And I did have plans to visit Six Flags Great America. I was gonna go at the end of this month for a Memorial Day weekend, and obviously that got canceled. Or whenever I can go for the first time, I'm gonna go. UK Theme Park Squad says, if you were given the task to make a ride that had to be themed to an IP that hasn't already been used on a ride, which one would you choose? Let's go with Land Before Time or Westworld on HBO. That'd be sick. If you haven't seen Westworld before, blows your mind. That show's nuts. Carson Smith says, are you planning on any other international trips after the quarantine is over? So I need to go to Europe. Actually, for my honeymoon with my future wife, we were gonna go to Barcelona. That's been canceled, so. But definitely after this, I'm trying to go to Europe. Nicholas Follett says, why does Six Flags ignore Six Flags Over Georgia? And I don't think they do. I think they get some good stuff. Coaster Cloud says, is there a bad element on a great coaster you've ridden that makes the ride not as good with the element? Intimidator 305 at King's Dominion. That trim brake on the second big airtime hill, sometimes it just kills it for me. WCF asks, what do you think about the American Eagle layout at Six Flags Great America, and do you think it will be RMC'd? I mean, it looks fun for like a good classic wooden coaster, good classic racing wooden coaster. It's an Intamin, which is cool. I don't think it'll be RMC'd. They already have one. Coaster and Film says, what is the most underrated coaster? I love your content, man. Thank you. So for my most underrated coaster, it's actually Great American Scream Machine at Six Flags Over Georgia. That thing is an airtime machine. I love that ride. Sweet Caroline 1990 says, what is a ride, coaster or not, that you have been sad to see go? So a coaster that I was really sad to see go was Dueling Dragons at Universal Islands of Adventure. I Like Crab says, since you're such a large YouTuber, do you get a notification for every comment put on a video you made? No, I do not. But I think there's a setting that you can turn that on, but I never will. Coaster Cafe, oh, what's up, Coaster Cafe? He says, would you rather see a B&M Hyper with flying trains or a B&M dive coaster with stand-up trains? I'm gonna go with dive coaster with stand-up trains. I wanna get that airtime down the vertical drop, standing up. And then I'll deal with like the pain in my crotch later. ARob215 says, how do I overcome my fear of coasters to become an enthusiast that I want to be? Honestly, it just kind of got to send it. I would say go with people who like to ride them and they might influence you to get on them. For me, I had to get over my fear too, and that was just kind of just getting on them at some point. Cancer Central says, do you own slaves? Yes, I do. What is the greatest single inversion on a coaster? One element can feature two inversions like a Cobra roll. Probably be the Death Roll and Iron Gawazi, but that's not open right now. If Steel Dragon 2000 had airtime like Steel Eel or Superman All'Ultimo Escape, would it be the best Giga? Yeah. Peepin' Sheep says, what coasters got an unfair amount of hate? Nitro, cough, cough. I'll say Nitro definitely gets way too much hate. And from the younger crowd, the Beast. Annie Sager says, what's your number one bucket list coaster? All the SBF Visa coasters. Now, my number one bucket list coaster is probably T-Express at Everland or Danaconda. The Random Rail Fan says, what's your favorite RMC? So I'm not really sure if it's Steel Vengeance or Lightning Rod, but it's either one of the two. When I post my top 25, I'll let you know. So Jack Buckard says, do you have a video you remember being an absolute pain to edit and upload? Sometimes they're definitely harder to edit than others, especially for the longer videos, because sometimes they're a pain when they're exporting. In terms of uploading, I can't really remember a specific video, but it's really annoying when you get copyright claims. So what would you recommend to someone wanting to be a coaster operator, and how do you get to operate rides like El Toro and not the kiddie coasters? When you're applying to parks, usually when you do your in-person interview, just kind of make it known that you like to work with people and you like fast-paced environments. And if they give you a little survey, just try to fill it out to emphasize those points. Would you like to see 2 train ops on a boomerang? Absolutely. 3 trains would be even better. Ryan McHugh says, how to avoid getting overhyped for a coaster and finding it underwhelming? I would just say don't look too much into what other people say. Try to kind of form your own opinion. Sometimes if you get too caught up in all the hype of a ride, it can kill it for you. So I would just say try not to buy into that too much. An idiot with the internet, isn't that all of us? When or where did you meet the rest of the coaster idiots? So I've known Brandon like my whole life, so Beema the antagonist, I've known him since I was 7 years old. I met Logan working El Toro. Logan would ride El Toro all the time, so eventually I just started talking to him, and when we went to like Hershey Park together, started going to parks. And then he had met Dan, and he knew Peter because Peter was his neighbor. And so I met all of them through Logan, and then over the years we've just grown and expanded. The latest edition, Uncle Nate, I met him at Hollywood Nights in 2019. Thrill Enthusiast says, my life goal is to become a ride operator at Great Adventure, and my dad keeps on stressing to me that I won't be able to make enough money. How much do you make as a ride op? I don't know if it's illegal to answer this question. It's definitely fine to pursue this as a full-time job. It is possible and people do it. Starting off a Great Adventure would be great, but in the long run, it might be worth it to move to Florida or like California where they run their parks year round. In terms of money, you wouldn't be living like a lavish lifestyle, but you can definitely get by in like cheaper areas of the country. New Jersey might be a little harder there. It's a little expensive here. Move to Florida, get some roommates, and work full time. Work your way up. I wish you the best of luck. Nose says, would you consider putting your nipples on the grill? I already have. Coaster Dash says, what is the roughest roller coaster you have ever been on? There is only one right answer. It's actually not the coaster that you said here. The roughest roller coaster I have ever been on is Hellcat at Clementon Park. Although Blue Streak at Conneaut Lake is very rough, but it was enjoyable rough for me. Hellcat is just terrible. Noah Donahue says, have you seen the video by Coaster Studios about a possible surf coaster by B&M? Sounds interesting. I have, and yeah, it sounds crazy, and I really hope that happens. That'd be really cool. I love seeing new stuff, especially from B&M. They haven't really made anything new lately. Peter Van Alsten says, if you had to, which coaster that already exists would you replace El Toro with? Ejinaika at Fuji-Q Highland. Fernando Rivas says, what is your least favorite restraint? Or the lap bars and Skyrush at Hershey Park. Not good. Not good. Sean Shapiro says, El Toro Camelbacks or Steel Vengeance Outer Bank? El Toro Camelbacks any day. Patrick Richardson says, top 5 now? Not now, maybe later. Phantom Coaster says, since you've opted a solid amount of coasters now, what's been your favorite? So my favorite is Top Thrill Dragster at Cedar Point. Least favorite would be the Joker at Six Flags Great Adventure. And most stressful would be El Toro at Six Flags Great Adventure. But it's also like one of my favorites too, in a sense. Buildified says, where did my dad go? And will he come back? He's sitting right here, and he's not going to, I'm sorry. Barnes CEO says, El Toro or Steel Vengeance? Okay, so for El Toro or Steve, it depends on the day, honestly. You're both really good. I'm not really that good at ranking them out, to be honest. Where's the Coaster Idiot application? There is no application, but if you send it, then you're pretty much a Coaster Idiot. What happened to the water? Still have lots of water. Don't worry, stay hydrated. Idiot vlogs or research vids, and why? Both. I love both of them. The Idiot vlogs keep me sane because they're easy to film when I'm making them. I just have fun with my friends. The research vids are way more stressful, but I do like them a little more, I think, than the Idiot vlogs. How much was your most expensive coaster trip, home or abroad? I think the one to Japan was a few $1,000s. I can't remember though, but that was probably the most expensive one. But that was a long trip. Landon Bodecker says, if you could add any coaster to Kings Island, what do you think would be the best for the park? P.S. Love your channel. Thank you. So the best coaster for that park, I'd say maybe like an Intamin multi-launch. We got pretty much everything else going. Tyler Fleming says, would you rather fight 10 Chris-sized chickens or 100-sized Chris's? I'm pretty sure there's like a simulation of this on YouTube where it's like Jesus versus like 1,000 devils. I can take them both, no problem. Send them both at me. I'll take you down, Chris. Hockey Nate 1844 says, what is your favorite hockey team? What is your favorite SoCal coaster? I do not pay attention to sports, so I have no idea, but my favorite SoCal coaster is Twisted Colossus at Six Flags Magic Mountain. Ian 2.0 says, how do you feel about putting stand-up trains that freely spin like Green Lantern on an SLC? Say go for it. It'll be probably the least popular roller coaster ever made, but I will ride it. L. Alaman says, do you think Six Flags will allow 2020 season passes to extend into 2021 like Cedar Fair is? I don't think they are, but I think they're gonna make some sort of weird twist on it. They like their money. They're a little greedy. Teddy Yang says, Mean Streak or Green Lantern? Both. They're both my number one. Ryan Frumhold says, thoughts on the new Gravity Group coaster being built at Dorney Park? So from what I heard, it's been canceled. So we'll see what happens, but hopefully it does. Hopefully it does at some point. Alvin Juventud says, is Dave Roll coming back? Of course he is. He's still one of my best friends. Crazy for Coasters says, hey Ryan, I love your videos. You're one of my favorite YouTubers. My question is, what is your favorite coaster trip that you have went on? So I've definitely been on a few good ones. In 2019, my favorite was the Texas trip, and in 2018, my favorite was the Japan trip. Jared Lucas says, does cloning ruin a coaster? Take the Batman clones as an example. It's an interesting question because definitely when you have clones of multiple rides at the same, different parks, it kind of, you go to one park and it's like, oh, I already rode this. I could have, rode this somewhere else. So it does, in a way, it takes away like what a park could have built as something custom, but at the same time, it makes it so the park can buy something cheap and put it there. So I'm going to say that it's kind of like a hit or miss, but I do love Batman clones, so I love the fact that they're everywhere. David Scarpa writes a paragraph. He says, you make Uncle Nate look tall. I don't know how tall he is, but I'm 5'7". I recognized him at Magic Mountain, but shrugged it off because compared to on camera, he looked like a miniature Uncle Nate. Is there a maximum height limit to be a coaster idiot? Nope, there is no maximum height limit. Kind of like working with Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise applied, but we didn't let him in because we just don't like him that much. Who is the tallest coaster idiot? The tallest coaster idiot is Borger. Mystic Maverick 23 says, what's your social security number? I know you said it in one of the coaster idiot videos, but forgot. Well, if you join my Patreon, then I'll definitely tell you it. Definitely tell you my social security number. My Patreon definitely exists, by the way. Midwest Coaster Fan says, what makes a good coaster for you? So pacing, it's gotta have good pacing. I like airtime. It doesn't have to be like super long, but as long as what it does through the layout is good, then I'm fine with that. And I like a good location too. Good location, good name. Coaster Critic says, do you remember the first time you went on El Toro? If so, what was it like for you? The first time I rode El Toro it was honestly a terrifying experience, and I loved it. And I think that's really what jump-started my interest as a roller coaster enthusiast. So Josh says, what is the best airtime moment on any coaster you've experienced? So for me, that's probably Great American Scream Machine at Six Flags Over Georgia with a not so snug lap bar. And you're coming off the second turnaround in the back car. ConnectSbox 360 says, thoughts on X2. I personally like it more than Steel Vengeance. It's my number one. It's definitely a good coaster as a number one. I don't like it more than Steel Vengeance, and I don't like it as much as a lot of people say. Definitely a great coaster, but I was more blown away by Ejinaika at Fuji-Q Highland. CT Coaster says, do you think that you can make a problematic coaster video of Lightning Rod? I would love to make one for Lightning Rod, but there's some things about it that I don't know much about, so I'm going to try to find out some of that stuff first, and then hopefully make the video. Jewish Singers asks, what do you think will happen to Six Flags Great Adventure in the future? Will they get massive additions like a launch access coaster, or will they get little nothings? What do you think of their competition with Hershey? So this is a good question. So I think overall, Great Adventure is actually competing heavily with Hershey Park now. From what I hear, they know, like management knows that they have kind of fallen behind the curve of Hershey Park. So I think over the next few years, we're going to be seeing some more attention put back into Six Flags Great Adventure, especially with Nickelodeon Universe also being open as well. So I think it's going to be good times for Great Adventure. Competition is good. Zavian Z says, what do you think is your rarest credit? So I think my rarest credit would be Titan at Selva Magica in Guadalajara. Nick Brennan says, has Uncle Nate gotten you into more kiddie coasters lately? Yes, he forces me onto those rides, but I love it because he's my uncle. Radzad Productions, what's up, Zach? Says, do you ever consider working at Six Flags as a side job in the future? Unfortunately, I'm probably not going to be working as a ride op again, just because this YouTube channel takes so much of my time away from, the regular job at work. It would either be one or the other. It would be working as a ride op or the YouTube videos. So I think I'm going to stick with the YouTube videos for now. But if I ever get bored with this, then yeah, I'll do ride op for sure. Favorite ride to operate. So my personal favorite is Top Thrill Dragster at Cedar Point. At heart, it's El Toro. What do you prefer when it comes to coasters? Quality of elements or quantity of elements? Definitely quality. Opinions on Gerstlauer. Gerstlauer coasters are sick. They're so forceful, they're great, but they can be a little rough sometimes. Each one is kind of odd. Like Takabisha was so smooth, and then Shellraiser was so not, but I think that has to do with like the footer design, because the supports literally go into the concrete of the ground, but they're great rides, they're really forceful. What do you think Great Adventure should add in the coming years? S&S 4D coaster, but the actual one. Screw Joker. Sydney Prowlix says, what is your favorite coaster at Canada's Wonderland? Leviathan, no question. Coaster Keychain says, which do you like better, ejector or floater? So it's kind of a mix. If it's like a little quick pop ejector, I would take a long amount of sustained floater airtime over that. So it kind of depends on how long the airtime's sustained, but if it's a long amount of ejector that's sustained, I'll take that any day. 808 Coaster Life says, which park do you think the first S&S Axis coaster will go to? I think Six Flags will be the ones to buy this. They seem to like to experiment, and I think they would probably put it at Fiesta Texas. Marion Brantley says, what is the best RMC you have ridden other than Steel Vengeance? Lightning Rod at Dollywood. RV9758 says, why are you the greatest YouTuber of all time? I'm totally not, but thank you. Also, what's your daily schedule routine? So Monday to Friday, I work a job from 7 a.m. to 3:30. So I wake up at like 5:30 in the morning and drive an hour to Trenton, New Jersey for my job. And then I come home, and then if I'm making videos, I kind of just come home and work on videos. Or if not, I like to hang out with my fiance and her family at her house. It's kind of different though with the quarantine. So RV9758 says, what's your favorite video game? So I'm not a big gamer, but I think the last game I was like religiously into is probably Animal Crossing on the Nintendo DS. This is like 2005. Jameson Thomas says, don't get burned out. I've always been very curious about your YouTube process. How long does it take you to make coaster idiot videos versus a problematic coasters? Coaster idiots are definitely way shorter, because with the coaster idiot video, I film them when I'm at the parks, so I come home and I have all my material. All I have to do is basically edit together, throw some random memes in there, Problematic coasters is definitely much longer, so those can they usually take me a week straight. Yeah, a week of script writing and then voice recording and then, getting my B-roll shots and editing it all together. So it's definitely a lengthy process, but I think it's worth it. I like the problematic coaster videos. And you guys seem to too, so it's the win-win. What were your YouTube influences? So at first they were vlogging channels like that had nothing to do with roller coasters. The mainstream vloggers, like even like David Dobrik or something. Just kind of like fast-paced, like stupid comedy. And I just kind of tied it to roller coasters. And that's where the Coaster Idiot vlog started from. And then for like the problematic coaster videos that I make, I guess my main inspiration is like a channel like Defunct Line. Joy says, hang in there, Ryan. I appreciate the videos you've been putting out. Pace yourself to do what you do. Do you plan on featuring your fiance in any future videos in your channel? Absolutely. What are some coasters that are set up to have fantastic operations? Basically any B&M hyper is set up to have absolutely phenomenal operations. Most Aero coasters are as well. These old Aeros might have some really quirky things going on, but they're programmed very well to allow for great numbers. Or any roller coaster basically at like a Disney park or a Universal park, and then RMCs are not designed for great capacity. Kyle Griffith says, have you built any other K'NEX coasters besides Hang Time? Here's my Hang Time model right here. I have a whole playlist that'll link that down below or here in the iCard. You can click that and see all my other K'NEX coasters. I haven't built one in a while though, because they take up a lot of time. Usually spend most of my time now making these YouTube videos, so not sure if I'll ever make another one, but maybe in the future. Big D Coaster says, how did you get your start in the industry? Where did you apply? What jobs have you had so far, etc.? So I mean, I used to work in the industry. I was a ride operator at Six Flags Great Adventure from 2014 to 2017, and I just applied. It's not really that hard to get a job there. Just kind of have to, be able to breathe and talk, and then they'll give you a job. For Cedar Point, I applied too. I knew some people. One of my good friends definitely helped me get in there pretty quickly, so that was really nice of him. And now I just make my own videos. I don't even know if I really count as the industry. Joe Mama says, what is your credit count? I think it's 506. Ty Morgan says, if you could place a park in any part of the country that doesn't have a major park yet, where? Probably like Phoenix, Arizona, because they have castles and coasters, but it would be cool if there's like a major park there. Swag Tubby says, how old were you when you got into roller coasters? So I was actually petrified of roller coasters at first, but I love to look at them and research them. And that was about when I was 8 years old. And then I got into really riding them when I was 11. That's when I stopped being scared and I would ride pretty much anything. Stanford Bridge says, what's your personal most overrated and most underrated coaster from Japan? So most overrated in a weird way is Dodonpa. The launch is phenomenal. There's nothing else like it, but the rest of the ride is just kind of eh. I'm sure it was better when it had the top hat, but with the loop, it's just kind of eh. Underrated would probably be Ultra Twister at Nagashima Spotland. Moose Pickles says, I always love the alternative / pop punk music you put in some of your cinematic shots from your older videos. My question to you, good sir, is the following, and actually not coaster related. What are some of your favorite bands? P.S. Do you play any instruments? I have a lot of favorite bands, but off the top of my head, like Green Day, Rage Against the Machine, Foo Fighters, Red Hot Chili Peppers. There's a lot more of those, so that's just some of them. Do you play any instruments? Yes, I play guitar and bass guitar. I have like 4 of them right here. My bass guitar. Comment down below if you know the song. If you played a lot of Tony Hawk Pro Skater, you might know it. Jack Holgan says, favorite and least favorite manufacturer of roller coasters. My favorite manufacturer is probably Intamin, but that's kind of up for debate, and my least favorite is definitely SBF Visa. What European parks do you want to visit? Pretty much all of them. They look so good. Europa Park, Energylandia, Phantasialand. Oh. Least favorite SLC? Easily Great Nor'easter at Maury's Piers. That ride is so forceful and smooth, it's crazy. Uncle Nate says, when should I expect my first paycheck? I'll pay you the next time I see you. Ethaning the Odds says, congrats on getting a Tesla. Which Model 3 did you get? And have you felt any range anxiety or had any problems with road trips to amusement parks? So I have the Tesla Model 3 Standard Range Plus in white, the cheapest Tesla you can buy besides the regular standard range, which is off website. You have to call in to make that order. So I did feel range anxiety at first, but as I've gotten used to the car, I've kind of gotten used to how it performs and stuff and how to extend the range just based on how I drive the car. I don't really feel it anymore. Plus, where I live in New Jersey, there's superchargers everywhere, and they're adding more and more, so I totally recommend Teslas. The thing with those cars is they're more expensive up front, but the cost of maintenance and actually operating them is so minimal that it kind of makes them equivalent to like a normal car in terms of pricing. Theme Park ERT, what's up guys, says, have you ever been out west to snowboard? What ski resorts are on your bucket list? There's so many ski resorts on my bucket list, it is insane. We've not been out west yet, but I really want to. If you see there's a snowboard back there, I love snowboarding just about as much as I love roller coasters. The top place I definitely want to go to though is Whistler Blackcomb in Vancouver. Michael Villapando says, if you can move a park to another location, which one would it be and where would it go? In terms of an operation standpoint, I would take Cedar Point and move it to an actual like populated city instead of being in the middle of nowhere. They have staffing issues like crazy because the park's in the middle of nowhere. Say if the park were built a little closer to Cleveland, it might not have as crazy the staffing issues as it does now. Big Money Pedro says, what's your favorite commonly cloned coaster model, and from this model, which specific coaster? So that has to be the Batman the Ride clones, and my favorite version of the ride is at La Ronde actually. It's called Le Vampire. Wormocked says, maybe a few tips on becoming a content creator for coasters. Honestly, just have fun and try to create something unique that people will gravitate towards too. And a clickbait name and thumbnail helps out a lot with the YouTube algorithm. And make sure you have fun with it, obviously. Mason Spears says, California's Great America or Knott's Berry Farm? Knott's Berry Farm has some of the worst operations I've ever seen, which will make me despise a theme park, but Ghost Rider is so good that I'm gonna have to go with Knott's Berry Farm. Rob Katzberg asks, how much lean do you consume in a given week? Too much, man. I have my own activist that supplies me with all that stuff. It's great.
I just took a piss and I seen coding coming out. Say what? We got purple activists. I thought it was a drop.
Other question is, did you meet Logan, Mike, Mark, etc. through coasters and trips, or were you all friends already? So the only person I knew before coasters was Brandon, but everyone else I basically met through coasters and trips. Alterion says, what do you think about Phantasialand, and what do you think about Fly? Phantasialand looks like one of the best theme parks ever. Fly looks absolutely nuts. So that might actually be my most seeked out Vekoma model. Benjamin Cortez says, what roller coaster related summer jobs can a freshman or sophomore in high school get? So it depends on how old you are, but usually around the age of 16 is when you can start working in rides. Like Great Adventure has always employed ride ops starting at the age of 16. Cedar Point used to be 18, but now they employ 16 because there's staffing issues. We got to move it closer to Cleveland. But if you're younger than that, I know Great Adventure starts hiring at 14. Like you can work in games or like admissions or the toll booths. Roger McCurdy says, where do you think Jersey Devil will fall among the RMCs? So I'm going to say it's going to be between upper to upper middle tier. Reed Letman says, which do you prefer, Airtime or Inversions? So I definitely prefer Airtime, and Inversions with Airtime are really good too. RMC knows how to do that. Coaster Yaris says, do you like B&M vests? I don't mind them at all on the flying coasters, but I'm not really a fan of them on the dive machines or like the wing riders. Six Flags asks, Mary F. Kill, RMC, Gravity Group, or GCI? This is really tough. I think I'm gonna have to marry GCI because they're usually the most reliable. You know, they don't seem to have many problems. You gotta have a stable mare. To F, I might have to say RMC because every time I ride one of those, I feel like I've been F'd and I enjoy it. And then I guess I would have to kill Gravity Group, but I really don't want to kill Gravity Group, so I would probably F them too. What is your most anticipated new coaster? So that was Iron Gawazi at Busch Gardens Tampa, and it's killing me that it was basically ready to go when the pandemic started. DucksFan_11 asks, what are your thoughts on the Star Wars sequels? Story-wise, they're the weakest ones, but in terms of, visuals and just non-stop action, they're packed. Like, they're so much faster than the older Star Wars movies are. But they're definitely not my favorites. My favorites are definitely the originals. What's the last 4 numbers on your credit card? Asking for a friend. It's... Grumpy Goomba 9 asks, favorite B&M Hyper and favorite B&M Flyer. So my favorite B&M Hyper is Behemoth at Canada's Wonderland, and my favorite B&M Flyer is the Flying Dinosaur at Universal Studios Japan. Spiderific asks, which country outside of the US do you think has the best coaster collection? So that's a tough one, but I might go with either Japan or China. David Shaw asks, what's one of your most memorable coaster experiences? So I've actually gotten 2 rollbacks on King Naka. Both times I was in employee uniform and on the clock. MLG Sotori asks, what are your thoughts about Taiga, Linnamaki in Finland? I think it looks fantastic and I really want to ride it. Your boy Christian asks, out of all the Premier Ride Spaghetti Bowl coasters, which one do you think is the best, not including theming? Poltergeist at Six Flags Fiesta Texas, that one runs the fastest. Kim Hill asks, steel or wooden coasters? Wooden coasters. Croc asks, what wooden coasters do you prefer to giving the RMC treatment? So basically any coaster by like CCI, absolutely. Noah Berlin asks, are the Japan, Universal, and Disney better than the ones in Orlando? Well, for Americans, they're definitely a lot cheaper, but the price equivalency is about the same if you're Japanese. For the Disney parks, I only went to Tokyo Disney Sea. Tokyo Disney Sea is easily my favorite Disney park. That one definitely rivals the other Disney parks I've been to. Nick Beddendorf asks, what is one element on a coaster that you wish you could have ridden before it was removed? Not including Mavericks Heartline Roll. So definitely the Heartline Rolls on Batman and Robin the Chiller. Kyle Richardson asks, you get on a coaster, it's a station wait but a full train. It's a blast. You get off and find out that you contracted COVID-19 from that ride. What coaster was it? Probably Blue Streak at Conneaut Lake. Thunderwolf asks, what was it like working at Cedar Point? And it was probably one of the funnest and most stressful things I've ever done. Cookode asks, how many times did you operate Nitro? And did any coaster you ever operated Valley? So I operated Nitro for a good few weeks for Holiday in the Park in 2017. I've personally watched El Toro and the Joker Valley. So I've seen El Toro Valley twice, and I've seen the Joker Valley once. One Track Mind asks, what was your favorite thing about being a ride op? Besides the good operations and just pushing for good throughput, it was the friends you made, just working with so many great people. It was a great time. And my favorite ride I've ever worked is Top Thrill Dragster at Cedar Point. Music Chick 85 asks, have you ever been at a park while some tragic accident happened? And I've been at the park when several people have been hit by phones in El Toro, and it was kind of graphic. That's why they don't allow phones on the ride anymore. Mike Carney asks, if you could move any coaster you've ridden to your home park, what would you choose? Edge and Nika at Fuji Q Highland. Zachary Parker asks, what kind of engineering did you do? And what school did you do it for, since I'm going for engineering in the amusement industry? So I have a degree in civil engineering, and I went to Rutgers University in New Brunswick, New Jersey. And I wish you the best of luck with your career path. Alright guys, so that's going to do it for my first ever Q&A video. Thank you so much for submitting all those questions, and I hope I adequately answered them for all of you. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, smash that notification bell so you get notified every time I post a video. If you want some awesome merch like this, I have it now available on Amazon. The link is in description. It may take a little while to ship because the things are a little messy right now with the pandemic, but if you do want to get some of the stuff, it's available for you. And I should have this available soon in the UK and Germany as soon as they allow me to. But yeah, with that guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for being such a strong supporter of the channel. I really appreciate it. You guys are the best. Stay safe during this pandemic. Do everything you gotta do to keep your loved ones and your family out of harm's way. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace out.